Good morning, everyone. Come on, get in here. Uh, what we're trying to do is, you all can see, there's a they're starting to fly early this morning, so you can see the flight path kinda.
Yeah.
So as long as we stay out of their flight path, we'll be good. All right.
Flying around there?
Yes. We'll get to get in there here in a little bit. They're just now getting awake and getting going, so it's been a little cool this morning.
Yeah.
But welcome, y'all. I'm Clint Baker. I'm one of about 4 or 5 of us that have tried to get together what's called the Nitro Sustainable Community. Also co-owner of Hillbilly Hippie Honeybees. Well, that's kind of a funny name, but that is that's what we chose on. We like it. This is our teaching apiary that we have here for Nitro and for our company, and as you can see, it's a work in progress because everything behind you is going to be a pollinator teaching garden. So yes, I know these are pollinators, but these honeybees are not native to America, to North America. They are native to Europe, and they were brought over here by the settlers, back in the 1700s, okay? And so everything that we have here are things like bumblebees and solitaire bees and mason bees and bats and things like that. Those are the things that are native to us. Lots of flies, the wasps, even the yellow jackets that everybody, including myself, think they're mean. So, but anyway, yeah, again, glad you're all coming. We'll start while they continue to wake up. We'll start by going through and just looking at some of the equipment and going through some of the other things so we can get some of the Q&As out of the way. And then hopefully we can throw some of the protective gear on. I've got some for the odors too inside. But and get into one of the hives and look at them. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah.
Does that sound cool?
We're still waiting. I think we have
take care of them like in the winter to like warm them up, or I don't know, like anything like that, or do you just leave them be?
So in the winter time, we basically let them do their thing. They've been around for a long time. God made them smarter than us. I mean, there's scientific studies that they have they actually become facial recognition on the beekeepers. Most hives, the reason why they'll have numbers on the front of them or symbols on the front of them or paintings, like the ladies here did these for the fun of it, is they recognize shape and they recognize those things, and that's one way that they figure out how to get back in here. So for the winter time, we kind of feel like it's kind of this is a bad thing to say, but survival of the fittest, right? Because it's like breeding cattle or anything else. You want the breeds that are going to be the best for winter time, for varroamite, all these things. And so we don't insulate. There are people out there that do insulate. But what honeybees do in the winter time is they don't hibernate. Now, some studies say they'll sleep for a while, but they take turns. And so they do what's called clustering. They cluster up into a big old ball right in the middle of the hive, and they're keeping the queen warm. They're keeping the brood warm, and they're feeding each other. So what they do is they continue to shiver, and they keep that colony right around 95 degrees year round. And they're the air conditioner and they're the heater. So they're constantly doing that. Now, yes, there's a lot die off during the winter time. There's actually 2 forms of bees, what we call them, and we call them the bees of winter, like physiology type things, and then the ones of summer. And the ones in the winter, they're a little bit bigger, they're a little bit fatter, those types of things. The ones in the winter or summer, they're a little bit less. So those are some of the things that they do to adapt to all that. So they do a great job doing it. Sometimes I think we do too much interaction into them, right? And we kind of try to let them do their own thing as well. So yeah, that's if they are prepared right, and this is getting a little bit ahead of things. But if they're prepared right going into winter, if they've got enough food, and sometimes, yes, we do have to feed them. There are beekeepers out there that say don't feed. We feel like they're like like your horses, your cattle, anything like that. You have to be a good husbandry of that to be able to keep the bees and all that. There are people that say don't treat. And what I mean by that is like varroa destructor is really bad right now. And it's a little mite. We've got some pictures of it I'll show you. That it's a little red thing. It looks like a little red like a crab. And it's tiny. It's hard to see. And it acts just like a tick to them. It gets in there while they're in the larva stage, especially in the brood of the drone, which is the male bee, and they suck basically the life out of it. And that it does the same thing as a tick does to us. It can pass along disease. So if we treat for that and go into the winter with low numbers, and then they've got good feed, which we feed them like 2-to-1 syrup that's just sugar water. That's why you see them around during the drought months. You'll see them around like hummingbird feeders and stuff. They're just eating anything they can find. They're foragers. And so we'll feed them to get what we call the weight of the box up, and that way they've got enough honey to make it through the winter. So, and just a little bit more about winter. You've got different breeds of bees, believe it or not. Italian bees, and it depends on what you're looking for the breed. So Italian bees, they make a lot of bees and they make a lot of honey, but they're not real good for wintering, especially up in our area north. Carniolans, which we have and we are starting to really love, they go through the winter with a smaller cluster of bees, where the Italians go through a bigger cluster. They don't eat a lot of honey, so during the winter time, where the Italians do. So that's a lot of the reason why sometimes the Italians don't make it. So there's a lot of different factors involved. We could be here for the next 3 or 4 days just talking about breeds and all that good stuff. So, but anyway, again, for those of you that come up a little bit later, my name's Clint Baker, and I'm glad y'all come. We'll have some fun. We'll go through some of the equipment first. I know normally a lot of folks like to see the equipment and kind of get their hands on it, and then we'll throw some suits on and get in a couple of these boxes and see the queen, maybe get to see some of the drones, the difference between the drones and all that. So I'll pass these around as we get done with them. But what these are actual frames that they use to make these with, which is kind of cool. And then they just the company that put these together ended up making some different notes. So inside of a colony during the summertime, you're looking at roughly anywhere between 45 and 80,000 bees in one of those boxes. And that's how many bees it takes to collect enough honey for them for the winter, right? So they're foraging. They're always going out, and that's what you see them doing right now. They're in and out. Right now, I don't know if you all noticed, but the the black locust and the buckeye are blooming. That's what you see white right now everywhere. And the autumn olive that everybody hates is now and they use a lot of that. So, but the queen. Now these are some pretty cool facts that kind of blow your mind numbers wise. The queen gets mated one time in her life, and usually a queen will last 3 to 4 years, is how her lifespan. And she will lay, especially during the summertime, spring, summer, and fall, anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 eggs per day. So that's showing you how they only live, about 30 days tops during the summertime. So they're constantly, think about it, they're getting hit by things out here, they're dying off due to pesticides, they're dying off due to all kinds of different things. So she's got to constantly replenish the colony. And let me ask you this question for you all. Who do you think rules the roost inside of a colony?
The queen.
Do you think queen? The queen? Anybody else? Queen? So, why do you think that?
I don't know. Because she's the longest.
Because she's the longest and the oldest? In most societies, that would be true. But actually here, these are a democracy. The 45 to 60,000 female workers that are in there, that's who tell everybody else what to do. They actually vote amongst each other, if you will. They have a lot of noises that they make. They have a lot of dances that they do. And they tell her how many eggs to lay. They tell her how many male eggs to lay, which are the drones. They tell her how many female workers they need. They tell her everything. They tell her to stop laying. And so that's what they do. Yes.
How do they talk?
They talk by, you'll hear little piping sounds. You'll hear little buzzing sounds when you're in there. You'll see them doing what's called a wiggle dance. And when they do that wiggle dance, all the different, they love math. They're great with geometry, and we'll see that as we go through this. But they do all kinds of like figure eights and different shapes to be able to tell them during that wiggle dance where we go. All right. So, but by the numbers, that's what you're going to get. I'm going to have to take my glasses off. I'm so old I can't see up close. But so that's just some of the things that you'll learn. As you can see, these are all female workers here. Okay.
Can I see the bottom?
Yes, we'll flip it over in just a second here. And you know, during the winter time, they do live a little longer. Again, during the summertime, about 4 or 5 weeks is about all they live, the female worker. And the male worker, the drone, they do not even take through the winter. We'll talk about that when we get to the drone. But that's that. Again, let's talk about this one here in a little bit. That one's a little bit. So here is kind of what the inside of the colony looks like. All right, and as you can see, does anybody know what this is?
Beehive. Beehive.
So yes, that's the comb. All right, and that's the inside of the beehive. And as you can see, they're in here working. They're either putting nectar in. It comes in as nectar. It's not automatically honey. All right, so it comes in as nectar off of all the trees and the flowers and the bushes.
That nectar or that honey?
Well, actually, you see that white right there? That's actually larvae. So that's a female bee that is she hasn't hatched yet. Yeah, so, and we'll see that here in a minute. We'll see all the stages of life here in just a second. So, but that's how that works. So every one of these cells we'll see it here in just a second, are a hexagon. And back to geometry, that gives them the best ability to use the best amount of space. Does that make sense? So they're using the best amount of space, and they know that. Instead of using the square, whatever, they can get more cells in there that particular way. So they know a lot about geometry. All right, like I said, we'll come back to this just here in a minute on that. Inside the hive, what is the white stuff? Y'all know what that is? That's wax.
Wax.
So those are the cells that we were just talking about. They look round, but they're not. They look like a stop sign when you get them underneath a microscope. All right. But do you know how they make the wax? So the wax is actually made from their honey that they collect, and they add some other things to it, and they actually produce it from some glands that are inside their bellies. And it comes out here in little flakes, and then they grab it and they take it and they shape it and they form it into whatever they need it to be. And so that is what causes that to do that. So here, let's get some numbers here. So the wax itself, it takes quite a bit of honey to do that. Pass that one around, look at it.
Back up and he'll pass it around.
All right. So you guys can hold on to that. All right, so look here. Remember we talked about the larva a minute ago?
Yeah.
So we're West Virginians. You can call it whatever you want. All right. Some people call it larvae, larva, whatever you want to. But here's the egg. See that right there? This is under a microscope. See that little? Looks like a. What does that look like to you?
Bean.
Look like a little bean, yeah.
Egg.
A little grain of rice, and that's what they really look like. How you could tell when she has just laid it
It
is
looks like a Mr. Bean to me.
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks
But
like a Mr. Bean.
that egg will be standing straight up in the air if it's a day old. That's how we can tell it's a day old egg. As soon as it drops to the side, we know it's a 2 to 3 day old egg. So after 3 days, it hatches and it starts to draw into the larvae stage, and then what they call the pupa stage, or pupae if you're scientific. All right, and as you can see, that's when they start capping it. They'll cap the cell, and it'll actually make sort of like a cocoon. Okay, that is the eyes. That's exactly right. Good job.
Yeah,
So
that's the eyes.
this is a good picture here to see it.
And
How
we
many
have
eyes do you think a honeybee has?
Thousands.
2? Thousands?
Thousands.
Thousands?
12. I say 3. I say 3.
You say 3. They actually have 5.
5. What?
All right. So look, see, you pointed those 2 out. See the other 3? They're right there. So they got 5 eyes. All right.
So they can see up there too.
They can see all the way around. Can you imagine, as fast as they fly, about 45 miles an hour, can you imagine flying that fast, as small as they are, and weaving in and out?
And seeing everything at once.
Yes. All right. So as you can tell, now they're capped. She's getting ready to hatch. All right. So, all right. So who lays? We already talked about that. Who lays the eggs?
Queen.
The queen.
The queen.
The queen is the only one that lays the eggs, and we're gonna see if you can find her real quick.
Right here.
Yep.
Why is that in
All right, good question. We marked them, and this year it's blue. There's 5 different colors that we use. We use yellow, we use red, we use blue, green. And I'm missing one. And I'm forgetting right now. But that's okay. You have to forgive me. But why we do that is to mark them so we know how old they are from year to year to year, right? Right. And this year it's blue. Okay. So this year it's blue. All the queens that as we're finding them, we're marking them blue. We know, especially the ones that have hatched this year and the ones that we're using. Yes.
The queen bee right here looks different.
She just pointed something out, and it is pretty cool. So the queen bee is a lot larger. That's how you can tell her without the dot on it. Most of them are about that long, and we call it their rear end. Their back end there is much longer than the females. So that is why. That's the difference in the size. So yes. Now the reason why she's got a 34 on her is most of your breeders that breed queens are actually folks that just like breeding horses and all that. They put numbers on them so they'll know and be able to track which one is their best layer, their best honey producer, their best whatever. Okay, which ones make it through the winter the best, all that. Yes.
This may be a very silly question.
No, never.
But how does a queen become a queen? Like, is there a special, like...
That's a very good question.
I'm like, I don't even know how to ask it.
So right now we're in the middle of swarm season, okay? And you might even see a bunch of what I grew up calling mayflies flying around. Those are not flies at all. Those are actually termites swarming right now, okay? And so we have, every year they swarm. So what makes the difference between the queen is this time of the year, honeybees do 2 things well. They make a lot of honey and they make a lot of bees, okay? And so when the colony gets so big, back to that democracy, they start saying, we're running out of room. When she lays a day-old egg, they will go in and start feeding it a different type of food. What everybody calls royal jelly. Now they do her that it is her total substance. Okay, constantly eating that, and it doesn't. And she will start growing off that one. But the reason why we talk about the swarm season, we'll see that here shortly. Her cells look like little peanuts. So the new queen, if you ever open one and you look in there, they look like peanuts. And so you can go in and quickly see what they look like. And they're all at the bottom. So the food and the amount of time. So it takes 21 days for her to go through that whole cycle and then be hatched. We've actually gotten in, which is really cool. We've been in the middle of inspecting hives, and it could happen today. We've been in the middle of inspecting hives and hear queens piping that are getting ready to hatch. And actually, we caught one on video. We put it on our YouTube channel, and she was right there hatching. We actually, in that particular one, we had, while she was hatching, they were swarming. I mean, we got there at the perfect time, and we were hearing them piping, because when they start piping, this is a little brutal, but what they're saying is I'm getting ready to hatch and I'm coming after the rest of you, because the first one that hatches goes and kills the rest of them. Yes, of the queens. Of the queens in the cells. What happens right before that is usually the older queen, the one that's been there for the year, maybe two. She just, through that democracy of voting, they have already said, we're leaving and we're taking half the hive with us, and these we've already chosen who's going, so that we would have all said, okay, you half are going with her and you half are staying. And the half that are staying have to go through what's called the waiting of the queen to get mated. So she's got to go on a mating flight. She does that one time, maybe two. There's some different studies on that, but she goes out on a mating flight, and they don't go very far up or too far away. I'll tell you one way you can find them and see them up until about June. You see all the martins and stuff up in the air flying around. A lot of times that's where the martin birds are, and the barn swallows and stuff. They're up there flying around eating bees, because that's they fly up top there. So, yes.
When do queen bees lay eggs?
When? All the time. 1,500 to 2,000 eggs per day she's laying during this time of the year. So we'll get to see that. All right. Y'all want to pass that around? We looked at both sides of it.
So they go on the mating flight right like the day that they like hatch, and
so she hatches. It usually takes about 2 to 3 days for her to get her gut right. And if you'll look at this new baby bee here, see how it's all furry and looks white and everything? She's got to get her wits about her and get everything right going with her. And then she flies out after about 2 to 3 days.
wow.
Yeah. But you got to think, to them, 2 to 3 days is like probably 2 to 3 weeks for us. So, but if you guys want to pass this around, that's a baby bee on there. All right, you can tell the difference because you see that's an adult bee, and then the other side is a baby bee. See how she's more white and she's furry? She just hatched. Okay.
That's why she's more furry.
Yes, and now flip it over, and that's an older bee. You see how she's less furry and she's more like orangish yellow? That's an older bee. She may have pollen on her. That's right. That's right. Here, we can pass this around too. This one's popping out of there. Look at that. What do you think of that?
Red on this one.
Huh?
There's red on this one.
Yes, well, I'll show you. That one's a real good one. This one right here is forager bees. So they go through each stage of life. As soon as they're born, hey, you all need to listen to this because your parents would love this. As soon as they're born, you know what their number one task is to do? To go back in and clean the cell that they were just born out of. They clean it up. So they clean their bedroom up, if you will. That's the very first thing they do when they're born. All right.
In your bedroom?
And then they start cleaning the
They
hive.
know what to do.
They know what to do. Yes, they do. Then they start cleaning their hives. Then after that, they start doing other things throughout the hives. They become, does anybody know what a mortician is?
No.
So that's like when you die, you go to a funeral home or that type of thing, and the guy that's in there, the funeral director. So they become morticians. So anything that happens and it dies in there, they take it out. Yes.
I've watched a video of these carrying a dead queen.
Oh, okay. I got you. Well, if the queen dies, we've got issues. All right. She's the one thing that we definitely one in there we definitely don't want to die. All right. But anyway, so then they go into just different stages of it. They go in from feeding each other. There is a group of them that does nothing but take care of the queen. There's a group of them that does nothing but guard the entrance. They're called guard bees. And then there's the foragers. And the foragers, they spend all their time, and as they hatch and throughout the days, they start going through each area. Yes, sir.
What's this?
I'm going to show you that here in just a second. This is right here, and we'll probably quit working with these right here. All right, let's look at this.
Whoa. That's honey.
How'd you know?
It's yellow.
That's right. So this is what a brood comb looks like. And what brood is the babies. That's from egg to larva. All right, so you see that? Those are the eggs. There's the larvae. See the larvae, the white, pearly white little worm looking things?
These are just the eggs.
Yes. These are cat brood, so that means they're close to hatching. Okay. You see this here? That's called bee bread.
Bee bread.
What bee bread is they take the pollen, they take honey, and they take other enzymes from their spit, and they mix it together and they shove it in there, and that's what they feed all their babies. That's what they feed their larvae. That's what's part of what they feed the queen. And they, that's what the bee bread is. Okay. So you can see all different stages. Look here. Here is one that's just went from hatching into the larvae. Then we go into the pupae stage. Then we go into the cap stage. All right. And notice the food's all around that, so they don't have to go far to feed their babies. All right.
Wait,
Yes. What'd you see?
I think that's a bee.
That you're right. That one is just hatched, so you can see the difference right here. She's not too old versus the older bees. Y'all can pass that around, look at it if you'd like to.
What's this?
Huh?
What's that?
All right. So
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot.
he's asking a couple questions real quick, but let's talk about this one right here real fast. So they are also good doctors. All right. So a lot of people, you always hear people talk about honey being good for people with allergies, right? Yes and no. It is. It does have pollen in it, especially if you know your local beekeeper. Okay, because it does have pollen because we don't filter it as usually one time. But if it's never been heated, you kill out every enzyme that's in it. Okay, so now that's why when you go to the store and buy it, it's all the same color. They mix high fructose corn syrup in it. They heat it up, and then it doesn't crystallize. Good crystallization like you have there in the bottle, that's showing you got good honey. A lot of different things. But there are two other things that you can actually buy from a beekeeper that's probably better. One is the pollen itself, because we will collect pollen and sell that. And then the second one is propolis. So propolis, they are a very antibiotic, antiseptic environment that they live in. That means that it's hard for diseases to come in, and they make this propolis using tree saps and their spit and some other different things. A lot of people call it bee glue. Have you ever heard of bee glue?
No.
So it is very sticky, very sticky. Matter of fact, if you'll look at my tool, you pass that around. You feel that kind of sticky feeling stuff. That it's kind of like gooey.
I can't feel. Yeah.
Okay, it's all
It
over.
feels like glue.
It kind of feels
hard
like
glue.
halfway dried glue. Feel it? Yeah, you got some off on your finger there. I saw you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel that.
Let me set these over here real quick. Where was that one he was asking about? He was asking about one.
That one.
That one right there. Hold on to that.
Look at all those seeds.
All right, so this young man here was asking what this was. Remember, that is a bit. If you ever see one of these right here, you call me and I'll come get it. All right.
What is it?
That is a swarm of honeybees. And they have actually, that when they swarm, remember we were talking about the queen taking half the colony and then the new queen staying? This is what's called a swarm. If you look right over there on that fence, that's actually a swarm trap. All right. Me and my brother and our buddy have already caught, in one day we caught 5.
Wow.
That's how, and that was just last Thursday. Yes.
How do you catch this one?
We'll get into that here in a minute. If you all want to. It's kind of fun. It's like setting traps. All right. But when they leave, they normally don't go any further than about 100 yards from their mother hive. And they land in a tree and they start sending out foragers. They've already kind of gotten a feel for where are we going to go to make a new home, because they've sent out a few forager bees looking, okay? But when they become a swarm like this and they hit the branch, they end up starting to communicate again, trying to convince the queen this is a better home than that home. So you've got another vote going on. Does that make sense? And then eventually they say, okay, we like this home here, and they all go to that home, and then they start making a new home. They start making new wax. They start doing all that good stuff.
Without even planning?
Huh?
Without even planning?
Oh no, they've been planning. They are very big planners. Right before they leave, they fill themselves with as much honey as they can, because a honeybee has 2 stomachs. All right, so they fill their belly as much as they can with honey, with pollen, with all these different things, so they can go start making a new home right away. All right.
I saw a big swarm of bees yesterday.
Did you? You should call me. We would have got them.
It wasn't a hive. It was just like a big swarm in front of our house.
Really? I tell you what, that it's this time of year you're gonna see a lot. You want me to take that from you?
Do they kind of fly like that, like in a cloud, and just?
They do, and a lot of
One
people.
passed right through our backyard last night.
Okay, so a lot of people will think when they see them in the air, it's a big old flock of birds, but it's a swarm, and they move like this kind of.
Yeah,
right?
it was crazy, and it was fast. I mean, they were moving just like right. My mom was in the backyard. They were right over her head, and then they were gone.
Yes.
But our neighbor has a tree, so I wonder if
They might went right in, because usually there's 2 times that they're really bad to swarming, and it's right after it rains, because they've been trapped in that box with each other for a long time. Now the adults will get this, you all probably won't. But when you get about 40,000 to 80,000 women in one box, they're going to get on each other's nerves, right? So they try to figure out, okay, it's time to go. It's time to split this hive up. So that's after it rains or a cold night or something like that. And then they usually swarm right anywhere between 10:30 or 11 o'clock, and they try to get wherever they're going, usually by 4. They're very good time tellers. They know time, all right? So usually if I get a swarm call at, let's say, noon or 1, we usually try to get there and get them right now, because they're usually resting. If it's after 3:30, I know we got all kinds of time, because they're usually going to stay there for the night.
Yeah.
And now sometimes like that, that's not always the case, right?
Yeah.
So
I think it was probably like 4:30ish when they did
that's about right.
Okay.
That's about right. All right, let's get into the tools. This young man asked what this was. Does anybody know?
Smoker. Smoker.
Smoker, that's exactly what it
It
is.
scares
Now,
I saw a picture of it last night on my mom's phone.
Now that it's not lit, so it's not hot, but we will light them and we get the smoke. Does anybody know why we use the smokers?
To calm the bees down.
It does.
To make them fall asleep.
No, not really, but it is to calm them down.
To scare them and they start packing all the
They,
honey,
they
eating all the
okay.
honey.
That you. This is mine. This is the one I use every day. You can
To
kind of
make
pass
them
around.
calmer to get the honey.
Yes. So we use the smokers to. It is simulating a forest fire, and what it does is they automatically start going and eating. All right, because they're thinking we're going to have to move. Okay, and so that calms them down, that gets them doing something else, and it gets them away from paying attention to us. So that's why we use a smoker. And so yes, you all can pass that around and look at it. They are not lit. This is called a bellows, and then this is a smoker part. We use all kinds of different things for fuel. I use anything in the world you can find just about that is natural. Pine cones, pine leaves, bark, mulch that isn't been treated with stuff, paper, grass, you name it, okay? Can't see. So, pass that around.
You can use hay.
You can use hay, yep, yep. Does anybody know what this is? I just showed you one. I'm testing you.
You use it to get the honey out?
It's a hive tool. So a hive tool makes it a whole lot easier for us. You'll see to break the boxes apart, to pop the frames out to inspect, all kinds of it. This was made by one of my friends. He's a blacksmith, and he made that for me. That's my favorite. I've had it for a long time. My daughter got me that. That's a magnet that I hook it to. That way I don't lose it. And then this one, y'all can pass that around too. That is, the color yellow stuff, that's propolis again. You can see it better.
When did you start getting into the bee stuff?
We are 4th generation. So we've been doing this for a long time. We did take a break for a little while after our dad passed away. But then it was kind of funny how this happened. So a few years ago, me and my brother kept talking, well, we need to get back into it. We need to get back into it. And I was sitting at work and he called me and he said, are you serious about getting back into beekeeping? I said, yeah, let's do it. I said, why? He said, my father-in-law, who lives on the river right here, about 3 or 4 blocks down, had a swarm move into a 55-gallon drum underneath his deck out back. And he said, let's go get it and let's start. That's how we started back into it. And now we've got 5 apiaries all over the valley and we're wanting to grow.
He's gonna show us all the
Was it like a vacant lot?
Yes, okay, so how it all started was Mayor Dave Casebolt stopped by and get honey from me one day, and I said, we were just kind of talking, and I jokingly said, we have all these empty lots in town. I said, can I put some bees on them? And he kind of looked at me and was like I had 6 heads, I think, at first, and he was like, hold on a minute. So he leaves. A few days later, I get a call. Meet us down on this lot, because I just live right across the lake, not even half a block from here. He said, meet us over there, and I will hold that question. And we're going to have a meeting with some of the council ladies and the group we have. So when we got here, there was a bunch of people here. The Nitro Sustainable Community, Cindy McGill and Don Lemley are kind of the leaders of it, and introduced us, and he said, would this lot work? And I said, yeah, we could fit 5 or 6 hives on here. I said, that'd be great. And he said, he ran by, how about putting in a teaching yard and working with them and all that. So it kind of blossomed from this being a teaching yard for just honeybees to this is going to, all this back through here, once we get everything done, is going to be a teaching yard for pollinators. Because, like I said at the beginning, honeybees are not native to North America, okay? It's all your carpenter bees that people are trying to kill with the traps. It's all your solitary bees like your mason bees and things of that nature, flies. It's like 360 some different just in North America alone. All right, so all those different things. So that's how it came about, and we're still in the middle of it. You know, like I said, Dawn is with the state. She's helped with a lot of it. The city, Kim Reed and Dave and Cindy and all them, they've helped with a lot of it. Me and my brother and my nephew and a few others have put in, I'm not saying they didn't, but we put in a lot of sweat equity to get this in, and now we're all working to get this part done.
That's awesome.
So.
If you ever need kid volunteers, let us know.
Hey, I got you on video saying that, all right? Yes, sir.
Are those for us to go in there?
Yes, as soon as we get there, we will. But I do want to show you a few other things, all right? So when I'm doing an inspection, and if I find, thank you, and if I find the queen, you know what this is?
A queen?
You're right. So it's a queen cage or a queen clip. And I will pick the queen up and I'll put her in here and I'll set her off to the side. I do that so that I don't hurt her. Okay? Because you don't want to hurt the queen. And if you do that and you lay it there, she can't get out because of the spacing here. But the workers, the attendants is what we call it for the honeybee queen. They can still feed her. Okay, and work with her right through there. Yes.
Put her in there so that the other ones will go out when you clean them.
Well, what I don't want to do is I don't want to accidentally crush her, you know, or her accidentally fall out on the ground. Or we actually had one fly away. All right, and me and my brother are standing there. She was a younger queen, and he went to grab her, and she flies off and lands in a tree. And half of them went over and like around, and so we just got her and put her back in the box. But that stuff happens, and that helps keep that from happening. So a good beekeeper always has one of those in his pocket. Usually I probably got 4 or 5 of them in my pocket. Yes, ma'am.
Why do you
To protect her.
from what?
Usually me screwing up and doing something wrong more than anything. So getting crushed. Anybody know what that is?
What? A brush?
It's a bee brush. That's what we can use to like brush the
Bees away?
well, this has got a blank in it, but I'll show you one here in a minute. This right here, we brush the bees off of it so we don't hurt them. You can do that. You can shake it a little bit. You can use feathers. There's all kinds of different things you can use to get the bees off there. You just don't want to hurt them, and that keeps them hurting them. Okay? So we'll get to it, but this is a frame that has blank, what we call a blank in it, and that's before they start pulling foundation. But we'll see that here. Yes, sir. There you go. All right, so let's look at the hive real quick. All right. This is an outer lid. This is their roof. Okay, this keeps all the elements out. And you can see what it looks like inside and out. Nothing fancy about it. Nothing fancy at all. Okay.
Also fancy.
This is what's called an inner cover. All right.
It looks
And
like it's screaming.
huh?
It looks like
It does.
it's screaming.
Here, back up just a little bit here so I can get in here and be able to show everybody real good. Okay. So this inner cover helps us get the outer cover off because you see all the bee glue? What's the bee glue called? Does anybody remember? Starts with a P? Propolis. So they'll glue those together, and it's hard for us to get them apart. So the inner cover, we make ours, you can tell they're old, but we make ours to where we can use them to help feed. So this is made perfectly for a jar lid that we poke a couple holes in. We'll put 1-to-1 water on it, flip it upside down, and they'll just drink right through that. Okay? And then this is cut out so that they have an entrance up top and they can go in and out up top as well. All right?
There's a wasp right over there.
I know. And we'll go through, remember the wasp thing and I'll come back to that. All right? This is called a super. This is what they store all their honey in for us. Okay? And so what they do.
They actually know we're gonna have it.
Yes. And here is one that we pulled and spun, and that's not a good thing. You guys get to see something you don't get to see very often. You see that it looks like a web that's going through there, like a little tunnel?
I can. Yeah. Yeah.
That is called wax moth larva. And I'm gonna take that home with me and put it in the freezer and kill it, because if I don't, it will eat all this wax up, and it causes it looks like spider webs whenever you open it up, and it's awful. So I'm glad I pulled that out. But anyway, so that is what this is, and the reason why it likes it, you see the dark part? There's actually been brood in there. So babies have been laid in there, and that's how you can tell the difference between honey comb and brood
Are
comb.
they still in there?
No, they've hatched out and they're gone. So you can see the difference. This is one that we call blank. That's what they start pulling it out on. And then that's one that is been pulled.
Are you saying that where is the tunneling that you're saying how it's like raised?
Now you see it right in there?
Oh, okay.
It's almost got spots like a spider web. So you guys pass that in.
That's cool.
Is this the glue stuff?
Huh?
Is that the glue stuff?
All right, she just asked a question. This right here shows you better. So look here, she was asking, is that the glue stuff? You see all that stuff right there? That
I did not have a turn color.
I'm gonna say something funny. Hope I don't get in trouble here.
Okay.
But it looks like boogers. You see that? That is propolis, and they glue everything together in the world with that. Okay. All right. So let's go on to the next one. Step back a little bit. So the queen doesn't get up into our super and lay eggs like that one there that's being passed around happened to. This is called a queen excluder. So there's a thing called bee space. 3/8 of an inch they can get in and out of, all of them very well. With this, the queen can't go through. So we put this between the brood box and the supers, so she can't get up in there, but the rest of the worker bees can get up in there and put the honey up in there. Does that sound pretty cool? Yeah.
Are you saying super like S-U-P-E-R?
Yep. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So there's actually two different sizes of supers, a medium and then a small one, and then you got your deep boxes. But we use all mediums. You do, don't you? You smell that? You smell it? So all that's propolis, where they glue things together. Propolis is very good for your gut health too.
Ugh.
No, you don't like it? All right.
Smells like buggers.
Yes. So she just asked the question. Man, you've done some studying. You got beekeepers in your family? No? All right. So she just asked, is this what they lay the eggs in right here? Yes. This is called the brood box, and we run what's called a double D. As you can see, 2 brood boxes. That gives her 2 frames, top and bottom, to lay in. All right. And again, this is pulled brood comb, and then this is blanks. All right. Now I left them in here because we had what you all ask about bees dying during the winter. This was actually came out of one we call a dead out, and look there. These actually died during the winter, and you can pass that around. Just don't mess with the wax too much. But they will actually, when they get to that point of they're dying off, they will go in face first and get inside the comb, and you'll find them like that.
And can you still use their
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I see a bee face foot.
Yep, and that's what they do. All right. Can we put that up for you? No, you're holding on to it? All right.
He was trying to get the bees out there.
And then the last thing for a colony is this, and that's just the bottom board. That's the bottom. And again, you see the propolis?
Yeah.
Watch. You can eat it. It's good for your gut health. It's like gum, but it's just sticky in your teeth. But that's an antibiotic or an antiseptic for them, antimicrobial. That is like their medicine, and it keeps the inside of everything very clean. They are very clean bees, individuals. So you can see that propolis better on there. Everything you see is like that is propolis. They glued everything together. They seal up every little crack and crevice with it. All right.
It's like it would burn.
It does, doesn't it? So,
So like the products that they sell, like the bee propolis that you take as like an immune support, is that like true propolis, or do you feel like that's like how they make honey in the stores?
I would think. Again, know your local beekeeper and your local supplier where you get it from.
Yeah.
There are some bigger companies out there that do that very well.
Yeah.
And so I think that they do a good job of selling, because most of those companies are smaller. So just investigate where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Maybe even give them a call and say, how do you produce this?
Yeah.
Because if it's a smaller bee company that's producing it, they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
You know,
Because you can buy it even at Target now. Like
I
do
know.
you drive up?
yes. So a lot of people, what they're doing is they're taking that and they're just making a nectar out of it, or what is it called?
Yes.
Yeah. And you
You
spray
guys
it,
that
yeah.
Is it good or not good?
No, it's good.
Okay.
Because you're just taking the alcohol and you're pulling the extraction out of it. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
But the pure stuff where you can chew it and swallow it,
Yeah, that's better.
it's better for you.
Do you guys sell that? Did you say?
We're going to start doing that. It is a huge collection. And again, back to the different breeds of bees. Some bees, like Carnovas and some Carniolans and those, they do a lot of propolis. And most of the time, beekeepers don't like it, because I'm telling you, when I get done beekeeping, most of this that you see on my jacket, that's propolis. I mean, it gets all over you. It's sticky as all get out. So, but that's most of the equipment. You'll see every beekeeper probably has some sort of a tool bucket, and we could be all day going through this thing. Here's another queen cage, another style queen cage, right here. So this right here is what we use to trap her in. I don't. Me and my brother don't. We just grab her, pick her up, and dot her with the marker. But if you're inexperienced, you can actually get the queen in here. You can close that cage. You can push this up real nice and gently here.
Like she's in jail.
And like she's in jail, and you can paint dot her right there, and it's a little bit safer. All right. They're very resilient. They're very hard to hurt, but we try to do everything we can to keep them from hurting. Yes, sir.
What about the wasp?
All right. So the wasp. Are anybody here allergic to bees?
No, I'm not.
That depends. I am. I'm allergic to bees. All right. I have to carry around EpiPens with me. So if I get stung by a yellow jacket or a wasp today, a red wasp, and I start looking funny and feeling funny, have one of the adults grab this and use it on me. All right. But there are 3 different types of bees with 3 different types of protein. You have your wasps, hornets, and honeybees. Most people are not allergic to honeybees.
I don't like.
I'm allergic to the wasps and the yellow jackets and all them creatures.
I don't like hornets.
Did you have a heck of a time last summer when they were swarming everywhere?
So we had a lot of calls last year to remove yellow jackets, and my brother's not allergic to them. So I'm standing over in the corner like this in a full bee suit,
Yeah.
scared to death to move. All right. And normally I'm not that way, but during yellow jackets, I am definitely that way. 'Cause I had been stung multiple times over the years, and from what I understand, every 7 years your body recycles.
Right.
And I went 1 year not being allergic to the next year being allergic.
Huh.
So, always make sure. I always recommend always having an EpiPen. We've even got one in the building here just in case we forget to have my bucket with me.
Yeah. You get stung by the honeybees often?
I get stung all the time.
Oh, yep.
I was gonna ask if that was.
Yeah, that one's not, but the rest of them are. What I use, and I forgot that this particular day here, this is just an old trick that's been passed down, is I just use white vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
White vinegar, and especially a lot of times I'll clean my smoker and extract the smoke smell out of it and put it in here. But it's a neutralizing, because when you get stung, they send out a pheromone, and it's like every one of them wants to sting you in.
Oh, wow.
So this kind of neutralizes all that. my brother, when we first started, or I first started doing it, he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, one of the old timers showed me this here a few weeks ago, and I'm seeing it. He was like, hey, it don't work. So we trialed it. He was like, that works. So we got that we used. But yeah, so again, we could go all day long. I don't want to bore you with this stuff. I know you guys want to look inside the hive. But any other questions before we get to that part?
I have one. If someone like local wanted to get started in bees, do you guys like help people?
Yes.
Get started?
As a matter of fact, yesterday we helped one of my friends and one of my brother's friends get started. We took a colony of bees down to one guy's house who had one set up in his backyard. We transferred him over. We're gonna let him get settled in, and we're teaching him how to do things. And then the other one's my brother's buddy up in Clendenin. We took a whole actual colony. He bought a whole colony off of us. I mean, 2 deeps and a super, because we're going to help him and teach him how to split them, because you can split them and create more bees. There's all kinds of different things you can do there. And he's wanting to get into it as well. So yeah, we help with all that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So everybody always asks, what should I do to get started? One, start learning. There's some great books out there. There's some great YouTubers out there. For example, Bob Benny, Mike Berry, Cayman Reynolds. They're been in this a long time. They've got good YouTube channels. Me and my brother have a YouTube channel that we started back before the first of the year, just because people asking us to do it. So we put stuff on there too to learn. That's where, hopefully, if this all turns out good, that's where you all be. All right. But do that. Find a mentor or two. And here's the thing about asking beekeepers questions. You're going to ask 12 beekeepers one question. You're probably going to get about 20 different answers. And that's okay. All right. Every colony in here, we have to treat differently. Okay, they're just like kids. They're just like adults. Okay, you don't treat a kid the same that's got the flu. Every kid doesn't react the same to the different medicines. Every bee yard is different. We've got a bee yard out Poker River that's about 3 weeks behind because of the temperatures out there and everything. And they don't react the same. So you're going to take all the information and write it down in your memory, and it's going to change too from time to time, to day to day, and you're just going to have to, it's almost a practice more than a thing. But you do have bee havers and you have beekeepers. Okay, and bee havers are those that, oh, this is a great thing, I'm going to do it, I'm going to have bees in my backyard and I don't know what to do with it. And usually those, I think it's 1 out of 4 only lasts 2 to 3 years and then they're done. But if you're a beekeeper, you're going to constantly be trying to learn to start out with a mentor, getting involved with an association. We're part of the West Virginia Beekeepers Association. You can learn a lot there. There is a straight up, and I'm real good friends with a lot of them, Shanda King, which is the West Virginia Beekeepers, the apiist for West Virginia. Barb Markham, and they're all a part of a women's association, Beekeepers Association for West Virginia. So there's a lot of associations out there in West Virginia, and I would advise get in with one of them and learn as much as you can. All right. Now, of course, hands-on is the best way to learn, but getting that basic knowledge up front is probably your best bet right off the bat. Okay. And what else questions? You all good? Now I don't have enough suits for everybody to get in there right off the bat, but I've got enough that we can take turns. Can we take turns?
Yeah.
All right. So if we can have the adults help you, and we can open up any of these we want, and we can get these on. Like I said, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 there at a time. I've got some small ones in there. I may have one in there that'll fit you. All I